Are you talking on the LinkedIn side?
Yeah,
Or
don't,
both?
the YouTube side.
Copy that. Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. Yep. We're good. We're good. All right. Let's do it. Welcome, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show. I'm your host, Paul Asadorian, joined here in studio by Mr. Joe Hozempa. Joe, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Jim McMurray, a.k.a. Whiskey Hacker, is here with us. Welcome, Jim.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's good to have you, man. It's good to see you. We missed each other at various conferences.
Too many times.
I know, right? I feel like both of us have been to conferences, just not the same ones. It's all good. It's all good. It's exciting to be here today to kind of start Stogie Geeks back up again. I've decided to try for weekly so that if we miss a show, we still have a good cadence. I think the problem before was we were trying for every other week, and then if we missed a week, it was like a whole month that went by. So I was like, you know what? Let's strive for every week, and we're starting that today. So hopefully we'll get a little more regular cadence for the show, which is going to be a lot of fun. Want to say thanks to our sponsors, Havana Cigar Club. Great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Is right next door here in Warwick, Rhode Island, right next door to the, or at least one unit over from the studio that we have today. Great place again to enjoy a drink and a cigar. I do a lot of shopping there because it's so convenient, Joe. You know, it's right next door, and sometimes I just need to grab. Usually, I try and grab a Padron for my other Paul Security Weekly podcast because I mean they're so tasty, but they always burn really well. I find if you're on a show and you're fighting with a cigar, it's terrible. So last minute, because I suck at planning, I need a cigar for the show. And then I popped over there. Although I did have a special cigar this Wednesday that I'll talk about. And of course, ThreatHunter.ai, solving all the security problems for all the companies.
Drowning
Jim and team.
Yes, thank you very much. Hey, I have a question. Is the shop right next door, literally on the other side of the wall?
Well, it's a long story. So originally it was, right? Because there's they're like Lego bricks. So there's 5 Lego bricks up top and 5 Lego bricks down the bottom. And at one time, so I guess it's almost like Tetris, right? We had the upside down L, right? So we had the bottom leftmost unit. And then if you go up, we had the unit above that. And then we had the unit next door. And then right next to that unit is 3 units that are the Havana Cigar Club. And so we recently took over this unit, which is Unit F, which is the one top left. And then the other 2 are not going to be maintained any longer. So right next door is G Unit, which is where we got G Unit Studios from because it was the first unit that I rented in 2015. That is next door to the Cigar Lounge.
Okay. It's in the same strip mall.
Yeah.
So is the Cigar Lounge going to take that unit over?
I don't know what's going to it's a good question, Jim. I don't know what's going to happen to that unit.
Because it'd be kind of cool if you could have a window between your space and them.
Well, we've talked about it. We've floated many ideas. Many ideas. So we'll see.
That's cool.
We'll see what happens. See what the future brings.
We have a house account, Jim, so if you ever find Havana, you can just fly in without Paul and just say, yeah, I'm with Stogie Geeks, and you'll be all set.
Yep.
I've used it many a times.
Yeah, I'll take care of you.
Nice.
Good stuff. So how are things at ThreatHunter.ai?
Hey, this week we got some good news. We've been climbing that MSSP top 250 list over the past few years, and this year we're now in the top 50.
No, congrats, man. That's great.
Yeah, not bad.
Good stuff. Well, for folks
busy,
who want to
traveling all over.
I know, right? Well, if folks want to learn more, they can visit ThreatHunter.ai. And one reason we had to take a break is I think collectively all did a little bit of travel. Summer was kind of crazy, and then I think we call it now fall conference season. So in cybersecurity, September and October specifically are very heavily loaded with security conferences. And I don't know. Jeff makes a lot of them. I don't know if that's where he's traveling to today, but he said he was traveling today. So he may be off to another security conference. But we recently got a chance to hang out, Jeff and I, at GurCon. And GurCon is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So if you've never been to beautiful Grand Rapids, Michigan, I highly endorse it. It's a great little city. Has a great cigar lounge that we'll talk about. I wish Jeff was here to talk about it, but we're just going to talk about it without him. So I want to spend a little time talking about conferences we've been to recently, maybe in the past, where we visited a cigar lounge or had a cigar kind of experience to kind of get things going on the show. Have you ever been to GurCon, Jim?
Yeah. The last one I went to was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's hard to keep up with all the conferences, and
there's a lot of cybersecurity conferences. Yeah.
And it's still, for me, sometimes it's repeats of the same talks from conference to conference.
Right.
And then you have to decide.
I like to hang out and have cigars at a conference, right?
Yeah.
And every conference has its own vibe and its own, mostly Jeff. And then when I'm there, Jeff and I kind of lead the charge as to where we're going to hang out and have cigars. And we've got this like fiefdom. Well, I mean, that's basically how we kind of staffed out the Stogie Geeks show was, hey, who are all the cybersecurity people that we hang out with and have cigars with at all the conferences? And that's basically how you become a host on the Stogie Geeks show. Jim and I were at DC hanging out at a lounge a couple of years ago at an event in DC called ShmooCon. But back to GurCon. It's a great vibe. It's a great conference. One thing I really liked, and like they get it, is I'm in the vendor area. Now Jeff and I had gone out to the cigar lounge the night before the conference started. And I made the rookie mistake of drinking too much the first night of the conference. I should know better. I've been to enough conferences to know that I need to pace myself, and I did not pace myself, and I'll explain why. But so I have a hangover in the first day of the conference, and I'm working the booth for my day job at Eclipsium. And I've got all these M5 stack, like ESP32 based hacking devices, which are just really super awesome. In fact, that kind of reminds me of one project I would like to do with those is use like ESP Home and monitor temperature and humidity in my humidors using kind of this open source technology. These are super, so I know many of you probably listening have some way to monitor temperature and humidity. Like, obviously the most tried and true method is just a hygrometer, right? That measures humidity inside your humidor. Some also do temperature. But if you're not staring at it, how do you know what the state of your humidor is? And there's lots of solutions on the market for that. Being super nerds that many of us are, we're like, hey, I could like create my own thing to do that, or use this open source technology. These small little ESP32 chips you can get for, I mean, as low as $1 a piece if you order them from AliExpress. And they make a lot of fancier models. So that was my kind of hacking demo I was doing there and teaching people how to put firmware on them. And it's like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and I see someone holding a beer. And I'm like, that looks really good. Like, I could really use a beer right now. And I was like, dude, where'd you get the beer? He's like, oh, over in the back corner. We got like 2 different kinds of beer. And I'm like, well, how much is it? He's like, it's free. He was like, it's free beer in the vendor area for the whole conference. So I go over to the beer stand. I get 2 beers, and I come back from my coworker Adam and I 11 o'clock in the morning, I set down beers. I'm like, let's get this party started. And I felt much better after having a beer.
I was in Vegas this week for Octane, ISE Squared, and part of the Sentinel One conference. 3 different conferences all at the same time.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Now the Sentinel One, is that LabsCon?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So none of them I had a pass for.
Interesting.
Very, very easy to join the talks in all 3 of them without a pass. Anyway, so yesterday morning...
we'll just gloss over the fact that Jim socially engineered his way into 3 different conferences and watched the talks without buying a ticket, but okay.
So yesterday I really wanted a cup of coffee before I went back to Octane for the final half day.
Yeah.
And the line for Starbucks is too long. Mm-hmm. It is at Caesar's Palace. I'm at Caesar's Palace, right?
Yeah.
And...
well, there's like 2 conferences, at least 2 conferences happening simultaneously, so the line at Starbucks is going to be long,
right,
in the morning.
So I go to the bar and I said, can you make coffee? And he said, no, I can't. My coffee machine's down. But I can either make you an espresso martini.
Nice. Good start to the day.
Or I can make you a coffee old fashioned.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm there.
Okay.
I'll
Let's do it.
Did you say coffee and old fashioned in the same sentence?
Yes.
That sounds like a marriage made in heaven.
It had cream de cacao, cocoa. It had coffee, espresso, and 3 ounces of Buffalo Trace.
Nice.
Yeah.
And was it delicious?
It was super delicious.
Nice.
And it was not even on the menu, and he only charged me $10. That's even better.
Which in Vegas is like 50% off.
Right. Or like 80% off.
Right.
Right.
So the prices in Vegas just continued to skyrocket?
Yeah. It's horrible. And of course at Caesars, they're doing all that construction there. And so you walk in the front door and you're like, what happened to Caesars? There's all these walls up.
Yeah.
The gaming floor shrunk.
Right.
There are, pathways that they've created. It's very strange.
It seems like they're always doing construction at Caesars. Well, it's been there forever.
Right.
It depends on which. Some of the older towers or the rooms you can tell are older, right? But they're always doing some kind of construction there.
I don't know. I posted this on social media. Did you see the photos I took of the signage, both at Caesar's Palace and at the Forum, at Caesar's Forum?
No.
I saw the cigars you were smoking on your trip, but I did not see the picture.
You have to see this picture. Let me send this picture to you. It is quite funny, and you have to be in security to actually understand the irony of these pictures. This one.
While you do that, I'm going to light up my 2012 Padron. This is one of the 1000 series. Do you happen to remember what size this is, Joe?
What? Oh, it's something by 42. So
like
hold
a
on.
Padron. I'm guessing 3000.
So 4.5 by 42.
4.5 by 42.
Yeah, I'm going with 4.5. I'm pretty.
Oh, it's not a 3000. 3000 is 5.5 by 52. So it's got to be a 2. You think it's a 2000?
Hey.
Let's play guess the size.
Do you have Signal up on your MacBook?
I do. I do.
Okay. I just sent the 2 pictures.
Maybe it's a 4.87 by 46.
Oh, 4 by 4.87.
Yeah, delicious. Okay. Delicious.
That's cool. And this is 2012.
And this is from a box that I actually wrote 2012 on.
Did you see the?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out a way, like, how do we get the, like, I don't know if you can see in the bottom corner of my screen, the cellophane, like, up against my,
it's crazy.
I can put it against my shirt, I guess. Like, it's hard to see, like, just how dark that it is. Even the camera doesn't really do it justice, but, yeah, it is.
I think
the cellophane gets very,
you kind of see mine against
dark.
that. Oh, actually, here we go. White shirt.
There you go.
Look at that. Wait, what was the camera? There you go. Yeah, you can see that right there. That's crazy.
So these are old.
Yep.
And we should smoke them now because I don't think they're going to get any better. After like 10 years, I think, it's time to smoke them.
What's the oldest cigar you've smoked?
You guys know Chris Hoff?
Yes.
Chris Hoff, a long time ago, when it was before we had the studio, so it was pre-2015, we did an episode at Mr. J's Havana Cigar Lounge when it was in the liquor store. So it has a little cigar. You remember the little lounge in there?
Yeah.
Maybe 6 chairs at best in this little lounge. And we slid all the chairs like out of the way, pissed off all the members. And we did a podcast. It was a Paul Security Weekly podcast. It wasn't even a Stogie. I don't even think it was a Stogie Geeks podcast. No, it was a Paul Security because Hoff was on. But Hoff was a big cigar, vintage Cuban guy. And he brought the 30-count Pelican case of vintage Cuban cigars. And there was a Sancho Panza Bellicoso that had to be from the 90s.
Yeah, Sancho Panza
it was like,
big in like 95.
So to answer your question, Jim, was probably that cigar. And it was just amazing. And after that, I bought a box of that same cigar and aged them, and I've had that box since probably roughly 2015 or around that time frame. I still have a couple kicking around, and not one that I smoked from that box was anywhere close to that vintage one that Hoff gave me that time. It's inconsistency in the tobacco and the blend or whatever. Like, Cuban cigars are more, in my mind, like wine, where different years smoke differently.
Oh yeah.
Right? That's a thing, right?
Yep, that is a thing. That is a thing. In fact, you interviewed someone on Paul's Security Weekly, and then I re-interviewed someone on Stogie Geeks who was on Paul's Security Weekly. And I do a little research to do that, but we can post it. And it was all about like how they decide which, depending on the harvest, which years that people seek after good Cuban cigars, and he gave us all the criteria and whatnot. It was a super cool episode.
I did also smoke a Padron Millennium Edition, like several years, 10 plus years after it came out. And it was just okay. That was a case where, because it was so old, it was aged out at that point. But I'm told in its like peak smoking time, Padron Millennium Editions were the best cigar you've ever had.
It was Stogie Geeks episode 357 with Bill DeLisi.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's a super cool episode. If you're interested to delve deep into the current state of Cuban cigars, then this was March of 2021. I
do want to say that Wednesday on Paul's Security Weekly, I realized that I had the Arturo Fuente Don Carlos Lanceros.
Whoa, wait.
Arturo Fuente Don Carlos Lanceros, which is like super rare. I don't think these are like terribly, like maybe have been kicking around my humidor for 5 years kind of thing. I don't remember where I got them. It might have actually been Casa Fuente in the Caesars Forum in Las Vegas where I got them. And I decided, I'm like, well, I have 3 of them. There's no excuse. Like, I need to smoke this cigar. And producer Alex was like, Paul, what are you smoking? I'm like, Don Carlos Lancero. He's like, where did you get that? It's like, that is amazing. It's like, I'm reading about it on halfwheel.com right now. He's like, that looks amazing. And I had just lit it up, and I'm like, it tastes even more amazing than it sounds right now. Like, the first third was like out of this world. I couldn't even concentrate on anything else but the cigar. Then it was great. Like, don't get me wrong, but like the first third was grand slam, knock it out of the park. And then the rest was phenomenal. But that first third just it packed so much flavor. It was delicious. 10 out of 10, Oasis level, all day long. Oasis rating. Yeah, all day long. If you can find them. They come out of, everyone has their strategies, I think, for finding rare Arturo Fuente things.
I think my next goal is to find cigars from the past 5 decades. So, like, same cigar from the 2020s, 2010s, 2000s, and then just sit down and smoke them all, one after the other, and do a comparison.
Finding that would be hard. It's difficult unless the collector is super diligent about writing the date on there. Joe can attest to this, right? A lot of cigar manufacturers don't put a box date stamp on their cigars. Weirdly enough, Cuban cigars, at least as far as I know, and I think every box of Cuban cigars I've ever seen or bought has a box date on them, a stamp. Now, there's also some debate, like, you got to research what that date represents. Like, is it the date it was shipped? Is it the date that they actually put it in the box, and then did they age it a little more before they shipped it? Right? There's a couple different ways to interpret like what that date is. But for the most part, and I'm not sure exactly when the box gets stamped, right? But I know it has a stamp on it, and at least that gives you a year, right? Of when Tatuaje, I think, also used to put on some of their boxes, used to have a date on the stamp, but they weren't super consistent about it as far as I know. So,
yeah,
So
But I-
it'd
but
be
I would-
hard to find someone who has the same cigar
Yeah.
Right.
from a particular decade, right? Because either it has to be a cigar that has consistently carried a box date stamp from the manufacturer, or an insert inside of it, which who does that? Not LFD. La Aurora does that for some of their boxes. They put that card in there, and they put the different dates on that card. When it was rolled, right?
Yeah.
When it came out of the aging,
Yep.
and then when it was bought, that might be the same date, right? When they pull it from the aging and put it in the box. But there's like, I got to find one on the cards. There's like 2 or 3 dates on that card, Jim, that gives you like an exact. So if you were to smoke La Aurora, and try and find from all the different decades, that's what I would recommend you do, is find a La Aurora.
So I'd want to get a box of 10 for each one of them,
Right.
right? And then have all of us in one room smoke them together.
Yes.
And you want to go like 2020 something, 2010, 2000, 2000.
The 2000, 1990, 80, all the way back to 70.
I mean, so actually, it's funny you mentioned La Aurora. I'm like, well, we can call 3 rollers and see if that's even possible, right? Do you want to mention the 3 rollers or no? No.
Yeah.
I mean, I would call
Manuel would be one,
Manuel
right.
and Noah, not a roller, but I would definitely call Jose Blanco. Be like, hey, we have a thing we're trying to do. Can you make this happen? He's with Auto Fluente. You have to go with like a company that's been around. You know what I mean? La Aurora's been around. Auto Fluente's been around.
Right.
And then I would probably, when did LFD? And I was thinking LFD, because they, you know how they have like
Yeah.
cabinets that relaunch and all of that stuff. But I don't know if to go back to the 70s, you'd probably be like La Aurora, maybe Gurkha, which would be a tough thing.
Yeah.
But,
So
yeah.
I was just looking at the card from La Aurora. So they give you, and this is from a vintage box that was the year 2000. So they give a reserve lot number, and then they give a date that's called cedar aging, and this one is 11/99. So I'm thinking that's when it was put into cedar aging, because then they've got like May 9th, 2000 is when it was packed. So maybe it sat in the cedar aging for 6-7 months.
Yeah.
And then they've got a release date of 5/12/2000,
Okay.
and maybe that's when it was shipped.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Manuel could answer. I'm surprised
Yeah.
we hadn't asked Manuel this when we.
Yeah.
Maybe we did when he was here years ago. So
Yeah.
And then
This
just have
one's-
one big event, maybe for New Year's
yeah, right?
or in January. I'll buy
Yeah,
the boxes.
70s would be tricky.
Why would it be
80
tricky?
To find a cigar that was made in the 70s.
To find a cigar that was made in the 70s, sitting in a vault. The 70s,
50 years, a 50-year-old cigar.
like-
There's only so many of those kicking around still.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I
70s. I think.
You don't
it's-
think the manufacturers have stores of closets full of releases from each year or each decade?
Yes, but I think also, what if the brand didn't do well and then it comes back as another, to keep the way you explained it, to keep the same cigar consistent. I think you're very limited, because what'll happen is one year it was this, and then the next year, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years later, well, we're gonna put a celebrity's name on it. I mean, I could go right off the rip, and with La Aurora, for example, La Aurora with the Carmelone cigars, right? Those are the old barrel aged, like you know what I mean. The old barrel aged, they throw in there. So then it wouldn't be like if you ordered 2 boxes of them, Jim, not a problem. It's the same cigar, but they'd be in
name.
a totally different name,
Right.
different story behind to go back there, because it's based upon the actual harvest. You know what I mean?
But I think it's really super interesting that, and we've seen this happen numerous times, and I don't fault anyone for it. I just think that sometimes the name of a cigar, it doesn't catch on and sell. right? Has nothing to do with wrapper, binder, filler, or the tobacco used for any of the components. It's just whatever they called it at that time, it didn't sell for whatever reason, right? And it could be maybe people were buying something different that was similar at the time that was on the market. It could be that that brand name just didn't resonate with the target audience. And so what manufacturers do is they rebrand it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Something. I mean, we see rebranding in cybersecurity and technology for all sorts of different, well, sometimes shady reasons, right? I think is shady. What I think is shady reasons, but this is because some people will say it's shady in the cigar business. I think, or misleading, which I don't know. I don't. Whatever. I guess. I mean, I don't think so.
I don't think I've smoked anything greater than, what I can order off of like David Off's website, which is going to be, maybe 6 years, maybe 8, or you walk into a store and you just grab a bunch of cigars. So I don't think I've ever tried anything, 10 years old or 20 years old or 30 years old. And now I'd like to start getting into that.
So Jeff has a shop near him. And one of the ways that I think the most popular or common way to come across vintage cigars is you get to know a shop owner that's had a shop for a really long time. And oftentimes they keep stuff, on the back shelf, so to speak, off the display, and they'll just age it. And there's a shop near Jeff that every once in a while they'll go into their vintage section, which is, I believe, not on like public display even for members. And they'll just pull out a couple of boxes of something super old. Lately, it's been Tatuaje, and we've made a couple of purchases. Jeff's like, I'm smoking this from the shop. I'm like, dude, that cigar is awesome. That's an Oasis level cigar. I think it was the Tatuaje Black Corona Gorda. And I'm like, dude, I will, buy some for me, absolutely. And they're smoking awesome right now. Not as good as when they first came out. The final third is kind of bland, but still, it's great smoke.
Locally, Paul, Regency does that, and Mr. Cigar over on Mineral Spring Avenue will have a vault, but it won't be as classified as the way Jim wants it with the decades. Like, going back
it's
to
just like
random. But if you want me to
cigars.
if you want me to, believe me, ask Paul. I'm pretty good at spending the corporate credit cards.
Oh yeah,
right? So if you get a call from Mike at the Regency, you want to buy like 10, 15-year-old cigars, because he has that vault that he opens up twice a year and stuff like that. And
usually it's limited. Like it's only open it at certain times, or you have to be a member of a certain standing to be able to purchase, from there, kind of thing. Because again, people could look at it as gatekeeping, but also like once you smoke a vintage cigar, you're not replacing it. You know what I mean? Unless you're waiting another 10 or 20 years to age that same cigar. Once it's gone, it's gone. So that's hence the gatekeeping.
And if you like it, like really like it, it's tough.
It's funny. You mentioned that corporate card, and I just read this article this morning about how Facebook fired like half of the LA office for, they all make an average of, this article says $400,000 a year, each of these people that they fired for abusing their $20 cards for food.
Unreal.
How do you abuse a $20 card for food?
It was supposed to be used for food, and they were buying, it says they were buying acne pads, wine glasses. They're just using it as a grocery card.
Yeah.
As a card. And Meta says, no, it's only for food. You're fired.
You're fired. They were just looking for a reason to cut costs at that point, is what that sounds like.
It's crazy here. I'll send you the link.
They were just trying to cut salary costs there. They just need an excuse to get rid of them.
Yeah, but if you're making that much money and you use it for food, just use it for food, man.
Yeah. No, I agree. You know
what I mean? Like, I remember when you were like, "Here, take this card and go get the software." I didn't like shop with it.
Right.
I'm like, "You sure you want me to put this much on? Just get the software, Joe." Okay, and then, do what you're supposed to do. It's not,
Also, and 400,000 in Los Angeles isn't as much as it is in other parts of the country.
So one of the people that they laid off is Jane Wong. According to the article, she's a prominent security researcher who became well known for predicting new social media features like a Facebook resume feature. I don't know
Interesting.
about that. Yeah. We should get her on the show.
We should. Absolutely. Well, she got time now. I mean, you know.
Right. She's not doing anything. I'm sure she's got a stack of $20 food cards.
Right? Jim, what are you smoking today?
So lately, since I've been busy in September and October, I hate carrying stuff on my back. I hate carrying Pelican cases. So I've switched over to doing things like, where is it? This
Little
guy right
tins. Yeah.
here, right? This is like $100 some odd dollars,
Okay.
but this one is $20, cigarillos.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's great when you go to a conference and you have 15 minutes in between
Yes.
talks. You can run outside, have a quick cigar, run back inside.
Yep.
And of course, my favorite, this is actually my daily, Davidoff Nicaragua, but it's not the box press, it's just the small one.
It's the that's like a short Robusto, right?
Correct.
Yeah. That's great smoke.
Yeah.
Did you say that was Nicaraguan? Davidoff Nicaraguan?
Yeah.
Short Robusto? Nice. I gotta get back to trying some of the Nicaraguan stuff.
You don't have any?
Well, I have, and I smoked them all. Which, that's a telling sign right there, right? Either I don't buy a lot of them, or I really like them. They're good. They're good though. I gotta go back and try the short Robusto. The short Robusto is one of my favorite sizes. There have been some amazing cigars in that short Robusto. Quesada used to make a short Robusto. What was that
Quesada?
called? Yeah, Quesada. What was it called? We talked about it, Joe, I think, when we went through all of our Oasis rated cigars. There was a Corona size and a short Robusto size in a limited release Quesada that I swear had Cuban tobacco in it. It had that flavor profile. I don't know if there really was Cuban tobacco in it, but it was delicious. And they also had an Oktoberfest short Robusto from Quesada that was really good. I dig the size, you know.
They
It's
have
like
like
a Robusto,
a
but shorter.
they have a little winter pack.
Oh, I like that. Like it's really cold, but I really want a cigar, and I don't have a place to
Uh-huh.
warm to smoke. So I gotta get my 30-minute cigar in because that's all I can stand outside for. Yeah. Yeah. So going back to Gurkhan, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I can't remember the name of the establishment, but there's like one cigar lounge basically in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which was roughly walking distance. I was lazy and I took an Uber. It was like a 5-minute Uber ride or whatever. A couple of times we did walk. Jeff was big on walking, and I'm like, okay, fine, we can walk. And we went there pretty much every night. Actually, every night that we were there, we went to this establishment, and they had these fantastic smoked cocktails.
Oh.
Like their cocktail smoker and the wood they were using was, you're in the right place. Where you're like, hey, can I get an old fashioned and can you smoke it? And they're like, yes. What type of wood would you like, sir? Would you like mesquite? Or would you like oak?
Is that Bold Cigar Bar and Lounge?
Yes. Bold Cigar Bar and Lounge. Thank you.
That looks nice.
We do that at Breakwaters, the smoking, and we have two types of wood: the mesquite and I don't think it was another thing, but
She had the oak was good. I tell you what though, the mesquite I actually liked better because you could really get that smoke aroma. When I tried some of the other woods, specifically oak, and I don't remember if I tried another type of wood, it wasn't as prominent of a smoke flavor because mesquite has that really rich,
unique
smoky,
characteristic,
smoky flavor. Which is oftentimes why when I smoke meats, I won't use mesquite because it gives it too much, in my mind, too much of a heavy smoke flavor. And I want to taste the meat. I just don't want to taste the smoky flavor, right? They have to complement each other. So I like pecan and apple for the fruit woods for when I'm smoking meat. But on the cocktail, I was like, I actually like the mesquite better. and they had this one drink on the menu called the El Jefe. It was kind of like a Manhattan, but it was served in a rocks glass, but it was served neat. And they put it in the smoker, and they were just out of this world good. Hence why I had a hangover the first day, because Jeff's like, "You want another smoked cocktail?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want another smoked cocktail." They were really good. And they had some cigars there. Jeff will remember. They got this from a roller in Florida. I'm not sure where they were sourcing the tobacco from, but like it was a cigar, like a whole line of cigars that you wouldn't find anywhere else. Like maybe if you went to the Rollers place in Tampa, right, they would have them, and they were like kind of exclusive to the Bold Cigar Lounge, and so like I mostly smoked those cigars, and they were all really good. It was great because it's really different, you know. I'm like, when I go to another lounge, I'm like, I don't want to smoke something I've always been smoking or I can get in my lounge. I want to try like what's different, what's here that I haven't smoked before or unique to this lounge. And they had this whole line. Some were strong. They had Lajero in them in a certain line. I'm like, hey, I just ate a big meal. Let me try the Lajero. And that was the best one, I thought. It was really, really good.
So when you travel, do you take a Pelican case with you?
Sometimes, more often recently, I do not.
Yeah.
I do not. I just go to the lounge. Now, when I go to, so Jeff helps run a conference in Baltimore called B-Sides Charm. And that one's different, right? So Gurkhan, Jeff's like, we got to go to Bold Cigar Lounge, and that's our hangout, right? When we go to B-Sides Charm, I don't believe there's a lounge like anywhere close. So Jeff will work with the conference organizers and the hotel to find a spot where we can go smoke cigars and like get it sanctioned. Like ask the hotel, like, hey, we got like 10 plus people. We really like to have cigars. We're all paying a lot of money to be here, but we want to be respectful. We don't want to bug anyone, have people complain. And so we've been able to sit outside at these tables out in the front. I don't know if it's the front. It's kind of a weird layout. It's kind of, I guess, the back of the hotel doesn't face the street, and we have cigars there. And that's our official cigar hangout. So for that conference, Jim, I will bring cigars because there's no hangout. When we go, everywhere else we go, Atlanta, Orlando, usually we make a trip to, what's the famous place in Orlando? Is it Jeff, what's his name? Boschwitz? Is it his, it's not Smoke Inn, it's the other one. Can't think of it. But it's a very popular shop in Orlando. We'll go to that one. Where else do we go where there's like a designated spot? Well, Caesars, of course, in Vegas. There's lots of spots. There's the Davidoff. I don't know. Did you go to cigar lounges out in Vegas, Jim? I'm sure you did.
Yeah. Yes. So the one inside Caesar's Palace, it was packed. Super packed.
Is that a JR's? JR?
No, it's
what's it called?
I was just there last night.
As early as last night.
I was just there. What is it called? It starts with
Monte
M?
Cristo.
Yeah, Monte Cristo. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. It was packed. I think their air circulation system was broken too. It was really smoky in there. Couldn't keep up.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think because of all the construction and everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of cigar lounges in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah. To me, the worst one is the actual Davidoff. It's called Davidoff. It's on the Strip.
Oh yeah.
Overpriced, crowded, not worth it.
It's kind of small. I expected it to be bigger.
Yeah.
Like I expected it to be bigger.
We had cigars outside.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I bought a really expensive cigar the last time we were there.
I like going to Casa Fuente. It's small as well, but they're always very nice.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I agree.
And very accommodating.
We talked about Casa Fuente. It's just iconic,
Right. And then in Resorts World, I forgot what that one is. 8?
Yeah,
No.
8 Cigar Lounge.
Yeah. It's okay. Overpriced, but it's Vegas.
Yeah.
So if I go to Vegas, I have to take cigars because I don't want to buy any cigars.
Right. Because well, we established. It seems like Vegas just keeps going up in price on everything.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what they get at Casa Fuente now for cigars and drinks.
Well, Tuesday night, I was at Casa Fuente. My old fashioned was $22.
Yeah,
Wow.
standard.
Wow.
Yeah.
You didn't have the mojito? The mojitos are the best.
Oh yeah.
It's the best mojito in the world. I don't know what they do to make it so good, but it is hands down the best mojito I've ever had.
Wow.
And I have more than one when I go there.
Just tell them to make a picture for you.
Yeah, pretty much. You got me wanting one right now. Like, I can taste it.
Well, the guy's there was slashing. He does it right though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's sitting there muddling the thing and taking his time, and yeah, it's a good time.
So what about you? When's your next conference that you're going to go to?
So I've got a bit of a break, and then I'm speaking at the Cybersecurity Marketing Conference in Pennsylvania in December.
What is that?
It's a conference for cybersecurity marketers, oddly enough.
No, really?
Yeah. Hence the name, I guess. And I'm giving a talk with someone, the CEO of our PR firm, Zenobia, who is an awesome person. They run an awesome company, and Zag Communications. And we're giving a talk on vulnerability disclosure as it relates to marketing, how you navigate the vulnerability disclosure waters, but with a lens of you're doing it for your company that you work for, and you're in the marketing department. Like, what do you need to know? And there's a lot of, as you know, most of us know, a lot of nuances when it comes to vulnerability disclosure. So I'll be there. They had a picture of the hotel, and it had a lot of bourbon in the background. So I'll probably stay at least one night, even though it's a short flight for me.
How many days? Is it 2 days?
I believe it's 2 days, yeah.
Maybe I should go.
Well, then we should find some local cigar lounges,
Yeah.
right?
What town is it in? Do you know what town off your head or no?
It says Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in Philadelphia. Yeah, Jim's right.
Yeah. And what about doing a cigar meetup? Where's that other car? There's another conference that's coming up. Where is it?
Well, we just had the big chain of conferences because it was like, well, our friend Kevin Johnson, right? He was coming from InfoSec World, going to GurCon, then Wild West Hackin' Fest in South Dakota, which I'm told there's a cigar store, and I don't know if it's a lounge. But I remember Jeff and Dr. Doug talking about it. And then from there, it was Vegas, where you were for the other three conferences. So there was a big chain of conferences happening. The ones I'm looking at now are all like for next year, already starting 2025. Well, the last ShmooCon, I still have to book my hotel room for the last ShmooCon in DC in January. It's my birthday gift to myself. Going to ShmooCon.
I need to go.
Yeah, there's a table at Shelley's back room with our name on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what's interesting is there's actually two other conferences I went to that were not cybersecurity at the same time by accident. One is the National Mortgage Brokers Association of America.
And this was in Vegas? You were just conference hopping to, okay.
Yeah, why not? I won't tell you which one, but I got kicked out of one because I asked the question, raised my hand, asked the question, and that wasn't a good idea. And
you generally, if you snuck in, Jim, you want to lay low. And asking questions in front of the audience is not laying low.
Only 200 people saw it. Not a big deal.
Now I want to know what conference it is and what question you asked.
And then the other one is the law. What was it called? Law University? What is it? Law University Conference. Vegas.
So you went to a mortgage brokers conference and a law conference.
Yes. TLU Live. Trial Lawyers University. So it's all the trial lawyers all have to do continuing education each year.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they can come here for 4 days and get all the CEs that they are supposed to get. And it has all sorts of different tracks. None of them cover cybersecurity.
Interesting.
I'm like, dude, this is huge. That's a big market right there. And then the same thing with the mortgage brokers. They're like 3 times the size. Same thing. A whole bunch of different tracks. Nothing about cybersecurity. Nothing about security. And there's a bunch of vendors that sell, mortgage broker software.
Right.
Right. And I'm walking around their expo hall, and like half of it was written in VB6 still. That's how, and they've been around for 30 years, 40 years. Yeah, I think that's a huge market right there.
If you ever bogarted a healthcare one, you'd be even more scared, as we say here in the Northeast.
More scared.
You'd be very frightened at their technology protocol in healthcare.
Oh God. Yeah. I went to what is it called? The Food and Merchandising Expo in Chicago. This like 4 years ago. Massive.
Wait. What's the line from Ferris Bueller's Day Off? The Sausage King?
Yes.
Oh, Abe Froman.
Abe Froman. That's the Sausage King of Chicago. I bet you he was there.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. Pepsi was there. Tyson Foods was there. And all of the software, from all these software as a service companies, all of it looked horrible. Horrible.
But wait, did you like register and go to this conference, or you were in Chicago for something else and just?
I was in Chicago for something else, and I just decided I wanted to go check it out.
Gotcha.
Right? Why not? And most conferences, even the really big ones, even RSA, you can easily get in, and as long as you don't raise your hand in a talk, you're not going to be noticed.
Well, I heard RSA was super strict about who they let in. They were checking badges.
Yeah. I have a cane.
You have your ways.
I have a cane because sometimes I need a little assistance, and I just ask,
I can't. All you need is a vest and a ladder, dude. That's all you need.
I would say San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
You put on the green kind of construction worker vest, and you get a ladder, and you can walk in anywhere with that. It's amazing. People will hold the door for you, the whole thing.
I remember walking RSA with a badge of a former Security Weekly employee, and they're like, "You're not him."
Yep.
Like
They
people
knew?
were coming up. Oh yeah, because mine said like Matt Alderman, right? So I'm walking the floor, and people are like, "You're not Matt." Like, you know what I mean? I was like, "No, I'm Joe. But how you doing?" And we were going.
I'm
back
his
and
twin
forth.
brother.
Yeah. But,
That's
good
hilarious.
stuff. It was funny because I was just like trying to, go through and find. Actually, I think we were trying to find Sam for something. You know what I mean?
Hey, you got to put those pictures up. Show everyone those 2 pictures that I sent
The
you in
Okta
Slack.
pictures. The
Yeah.
Okta pictures. Yeah.
And you have to look at it and then see the irony in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get
He put them in
Signal. Yeah,
in Signal.
I don't know.
Where
if
should I put
him?
him?
What on
can't-
FB?
I haven't tried to get images up on the Riverside.
Oh,
No?
There is like a media thing. I don't know how to do that. I haven't done it before.
Wow.
I used to be able to do that in the old way that we did the broadcast, but I mean, I'm sure it's possible. Life without passwords, it's possible. Was that kind of the gist?
No. So you're not seeing the irony?
Oh, wait. Oh, it's at Caesars because they had a breach. Is that part of
And
the irony?
and how did they get in?
Oh, the company.
Wasn't it Okta?
Yeah.
Yes,
The said company. Yeah.
Right.
right.
That's
So life
amazing.
without passwords, it's possible. It's Okta at Caesar's Palace. Yeah, someone got in without a password.
Oh my God. They sure did.
And then the other one is your last ever identity crisis? Question mark. It's possible. It's Okta.
Not your last identity crisis, it should say. Not your first and not your last. Yeah.
And how much did Caesars have to cough up for that? 17 million?
They paid the bounty, right?
Yeah,
The
17. It was like
ransom.
17 million.
Wow.
And that's the other irony. You know, Okta is having a conference at Caesar's Palace that got
Right.
breached because of Okta.
How was that conference?
It really was yes, they had technical tracks. It was aimed for partners in sales and in marketing.
Yeah.
They really dumbed down a lot of content. Michael J. Fox was one of the keynote presenters. And then, what's his name? The ex-Navy SEAL was the other presenter.
Jocko?
Yeah, hold on.
Jocko's like one of the more famous.
Book.
Yeah.
Extreme ownership.
Yeah.
And he's got a podcast.
Yeah.
I think the story was he went on Rogan a few times, and Rogan was like, "Dude, you should have your own podcast." And I think his podcast as well. I haven't listened to his podcast. But I listened to Sean Ryan's show is pretty good. That's a pretty good one. It's kind of similar to Rogan, without a lot of the martial arts. Which, I mean, if you're into that, it's fine. Comedians. Rogan does a lot of comedians.
Yeah. And then the other keynote was Alex Honnold. But the other one who was there, I can't find it. It wasn't Jocko, it was somebody else.
Mm.
And then ISC squared was ISC squared. You know, their whole push is we need more CISSPs.
Right.
Let's do this. The Sentinel One, also kind of a sales and marketing kind of thing. I actually found the Trial Lawyer University more entertaining.
Well, LabsCon is supposed to be pretty good. Was it LabsCon, the Sentinel One?
Yeah, here, I'll show you what it was.
Because LabsCon they've had like somewhere outside of like Phoenix, Arizona 1 year.
Oh no, LabsCon is in Phoenix, and I went to that last year.
Okay. Yeah. That's
this
the one
is
that
called-
has like really technical researchy kind of talks.
Right. This one is called OneCon.
Oh, okay. So it's a different conference from Sentinel One.
And I went and saw Wozniak give his keynote.
Mm. Oh wow, and they had Woz keynote it, huh?
Yeah.
Did he remember you?
I didn't go up to him. I didn't have a badge. I didn't feel comfortable.
Oh yeah. Wow, he would have thought that was awesome.
Well, yeah. I just rewatched the Jobs biography
Yeah, that was a good one.
a week ago. That was a good movie.
Was. Although I did like Pirates of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
So
What else you been smoking, Joe? We haven't chatted in a while.
Yeah.
You been smoking anything good?
Yeah. La Flora Dominicana Cabinet Maduro number 5s. They come in a box of 50. Connecticut.
Are those the small little box press ones?
No, they're
What is it again? LFD.
LFD Cabinet Maduro number 5. Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, Dominican binder and filler.
Is that a
very rare
Robusto? Is it what size is that?
The actual size, it's 6 1/4 by 52.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a Toro.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah. Yep. Good. I love the way it ends. I've been on them. I found them in the other cigar shop that I mentioned, other than Regency in the beginning of the show, the Mr. Cigar, had some rare stuff that he shipped to one of his other.
Are these rare?
They're not rare. They're just sold out everywhere. A lot of it's it's La Flor Dominicana. It's tough for distribution, and
Which one did you smoke? Which one was it?
La Flor Dominicana Cabinet Maduro number 5. So been smoking that. They come in a box of 50. They're usually like 6 1/4 a box, but they're good. They're very,
small batch has them. They're out of stock, but they
Yeah.
list them at $5.35
yeah.
for a cab of 50.
Yeah, they still make them, but some of the stuff from La Flor Dominicana, it's very tough.
It's tough to get
for
yeah.
retail, and it's just all distribution. It's just and I wonder if Lido doesn't just wait till they're done and that's it, or
Right.
the demand's so high because their stuff's pretty good.
It is. Yeah.
Stuff's pretty good, and if the demand's just too high, so it becomes tough for a lot of shops to get, and it's not just here in the Northeast. It's kind of
Well, they're kind of famous for their like giant cabinet 50 cigar kind of things.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember their factory press, which I still have some. Did we smoke some on the show not that long ago? I
don't
have
know.
some that we should smoke on the show. But they had factory press, 1, 2, 3, 4. Did they get to 5? They stopped after a certain number with the factory press. But that, in terms of when I think of large cabinet box cigars, that's the one I think of because the box is so epic. So it used to come in cabs of 50 or 100, right? And they would put 10 box press cigars in a tray.
Yeah, and
And then the trays would be stacked in like a giant, like it looked like Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
like kind
Yeah.
of case, right?
Yeah.
You need like a giant crowbar to get it open. So they're kind of famous for those big cabs. I mean, it does help control costs at a certain level because they don't have to individually box 10 or 25 cigars. They can just ship a cab of 50 or 100.
Yeah. So I've been
Joe,
on
how often do you go out shopping for cigars?
shopping?
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Do you make a day of it?
no.
I mean, we
No,
could.
I
We
just,
could.
I mean,
I'd be down for
I
that.
mean, Rhode Island has like 42 choices. I probably frequent 10 a weekly basis. I frequent 4, because I have my favorites, and then I actually judge it by what I feel like smoking, So if I feel like smoking Tatuaje, I can only go to like 4 shops in Rhode Island out of the 40. You know what I mean? If I feel like smoking different types of Avo, like if I want old Avo classics as opposed to like the new Avo Synchro stuff that's there, you got to go to different shops. So I judge it by what I feel like smoking and how much time I have,
I've always wanted to do like a cigar tour of Rhode Island, Jim.
It's- yeah.
Like if you
Right,
came up
that'd be
here,
cool.
yeah,
You can do like a wine trail or a cigar
yeah, dude.
trail.
Like if you came up here, like we'd start in the morning, right? But it's hard because a lot of the shops aren't open first thing in the morning, so we'd have to start whenever like the first shop was open. And I probably have 3 or 4 shops in mind, right? Because you gotta hit our friend Jana at the Humidor.
Oh, yep.
Got to hit our friend Paul over at Mr. J's.
Yep.
You got to hit. Well, we could end with Havana Club because it's right next to the studio. But before that, Regency would be one of the iconic ones.
Yep.
And all the shops I just mentioned, Jim, are within
15
-ish
minutes away. if
minutes
that.
of
Yeah,
each other. Yeah.
Yeah, but not for nothing. We could call all of them and say, hey, we got 10, 15, 20 guys. Can you open an hour early? And that'd be happening.
Well, yeah. Well,
I have a key to Havana.
Now, but
if
now we
that
got hold
helps.
on. No, now we got logistical issues of how to get 15 or 20 people.
Well,
Rent
if you can get
The
them
problem with renting a bus is it's going to smell like smoke, whether we're smoking in it or not.
if
right?
Just for me, I'm a modern day pirate, right? For logistics' sake, I have 24 access to the building and to the humidor.
Right. So do I. Yes.
Oh, so do you. So we could make that happen with total trust factor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we ever wanted to do something,
And then we
early,
can come back here and do a Stogie Geeks show. It'll be like our own little
Oh.
herf. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can buy cigars in each of those locations, Jim.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It would be a lot
Why
of
does
fun.
Rhode Island have so many
That's a great
cigar
question.
shops?
Taxation. because border states,
Yeah, that's true.
Connecticut and Rhode Island have a 50-cent cap tax. So if any cigar is over $2.87, which is every cigar,
Oh.
right? It's 50-cent cap. Massachusetts, it's 40% of the of the wholesale value of the stick. So a $12.50 stick here is like $15, $16, $17 in Massachusetts. So the bordering states have that there.
Most cigar shops closed or moved out of Massachusetts
For
though,
sure.
because
Yep.
of the tax.
Oh,
laws.
yeah.
Yep. Because
So like Garofalo is a two-guy smoke shop. He moved everything to New Hampshire years ago, and has some that border right on Massachusetts, and the bigger one is further north. I've been there before,
what?
where his studio is.
Oh yeah.
I forget where that one is. And then
Saybrook
there's
or something.
yeah. Then there's who's the other shop? The
Twins.
other that's north of that.
Twins in New Hampshire.
I think it's Twins.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
it's north of that.
Yep. So yeah, and then even if you were to go north of that, like we're talking 2.5 hour car ride. So it's not
Wow.
really like that far. We can be in New Hampshire in 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Are there a lot of shops in Connecticut though?
There, it's from our perspective, south of Hartford, yes, but we never
Okay.
really venture outside of
South
Hartford.
of Hartford, you're talking probably
Closer to New York.
closer to an hour or more, right? To get to Hartford, yeah.
Yeah. There's a bunch. There's
The part of Connecticut that borders Rhode Island, I feel like doesn't have a lot of cigar lounges.
No,
And
no.
there isn't much.
Well, the reason being is because the border state would be New York.
Yes.
And New York is 75%.
Right.
It's like Massachusetts. It's 75%. In Massachusetts has been trying to propose 80% for the past 3-4 years that I know.
Whoa.
So
Pennsylvania is
Yeah.
where we got to do the road trip to like Cigars International. I think Famous Smoke, right, is out in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is the big cigar haven, just outside of northeast, I would say, but close enough where I wanted to stop. I drove to New Jersey last week. That was fun. I smoked some cigars on that 4-hour car ride back and forth to New Jersey, and I wanted to stop at the Cigars International one, but it was too far off the beaten path, like into Pennsylvania. It would have added a lot more time to my journey, but yeah.
So I just looked on Yelp really fast. Within a 4-mile range of my house, there are 11 lounges.
Wow.
That's not bad.
4-mile radius. Of your
4-mile
house,
radius around my house.
There's 11 cigar lounges.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, dude.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And one of them is near and dear to me because I part own it. But
right.
uh,
But yeah, dude, I've always wanted to do the like road show here in Rhode Island because again,
that would be awesome.
some of my favorite shops here in Rhode Island again are totally drivable in less than 20 minutes between each other and the studio.
yeah.
I wasn't thinking 15 or 20 people. I was thinking like the three of us and like maybe Jason and a couple other people that we could maybe Uber or something. Although I don't know if Uber drivers would be so thrilled about 5 people getting in the cigar after just smoking a cigar in a lounge.
Let's see. In LA, if I just look at LA downtown, there is 8. Just in downtown LA, just in this like square area of downtown, there's 8, all within walking distance.
Nice. What other cities we visited where you have cigars? Now I'm trying to think. Where else do we go? We haven't really been to Texas.
No? Austin?
No. Yeah, I haven't been. I've never been to Texas actually. I might have flown
What?
through it, but I know it's on my bucket list. I gotta get out there and do a show. There's a lot of great lounges in Texas. Texas is a great place for cigars. San Diego, I don't think I did cigars. San Francisco, there's one lounge in San Francisco, right? That we've talked about before. It's a great little lounge where everyone's
one?
it's the one where I love where everyone's a part owner. because the rule is you can't have an employee in an establishment that can smoke.
You're talking about the one that's on like the 10th floor?
No, this one's on the
Or
first
you're talking
floor.
the hole in the wall place?
Hole in the wall place. It's a very
Yes,
small place.
yeah. That's like down the street from the one I was just mentioning.
What's the one on the 10th floor?
It's, oh my gosh.
I've only been to the one small. I can't remember the name. It's a super nice lady that ran it, and I love that she hacked the system by making everyone an owner, so people could work there and then be around cigar smoke. Oh, that was great.
So if you're an employee, you're an owner.
You're a part owner, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the
by
one
way,
you're
that- go ahead.
one you're talking about is Occidental.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, yeah, I've been in
you've
San
been
Fran.
there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's this other place that's down the street, and it's on the 10th or 11th floor. I gotta find where it's at.
I've never been
And
to a lounge that's on the 10th or 11th floor.
yeah, gotta take an elevator up, and they have a nice outdoor setting as well. Where is it? Can't seem to find it now. I'll keep looking.
We were in another place outside of D.C. for a Sands conference back in the day. Jeff's going to have to come on and talk about some of these places next time he's on, too. We went to some really nice place. I want to say it was like on the second floor. It felt like. I don't think you were with us that time, Joe. Were you?
No.
You weren't with us for that DC trip. And what I forget where it was. It was just outside of DC.
I was expecting baby number one, and
Something
Security
like
Weekly,
that, yeah.
Security Weekly put me on the no-fly zone.
Yep.
Because it was
Yeah.
summertime, and you're like, it's too close.
Nope, too close.
You're gonna be there for your kids.
It's certainly not going to be my fault.
I think I found it. Amador. I think that's the one. Yep,
Amador
there it
in
is.
San Francisco.
Yeah, and it's on the 10th floor, and you have to be a member or know a member to get you in.
Oh, I see.
And they're pretty stringent on it too. It isn't like, you have to be a
Bet.
member or you could buy a day pass. No. You have to be a member.
It's not like a conference where you can just walk right in, right?
But that could be another way they're getting around the laws if it's a member-only place.
Right.
That would venture to get, and that's probably why they're so strict about it too, right?
Yeah. It's a nice place. It really is. They have good food, full bar. Yeah.
Oh, and they can serve food in there. Yeah, they're definitely getting around some laws there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the only one I've ever been to that can do food, drink, and cigars is Shelley's back room in D.C.
Oh, well, you can't smoke at the table. No. They have the restaurant off to one side. They have the bar
I
off to
see.
another, and then they have 3 rooms set aside that are sealed off for smoking, and then you can smoke on the patio. But you can eat the food outside while you smoke. I guess that's kind of my RSA place to go to. When at RSA, that's where I go, or Occidental.
Are you a member or you know members?
So one of the members at my lounge is a member, and he just sets up the reservation for me.
I see.
Easy that way.
There was one at I don't think does the Monte Carlo hotel still exist? I don't think it. I think they either tore it down or renovated it and called it something else. And way back in the day, there was a restaurant, and then I don't know if you had to eat at the restaurant or not, but and I think it was a French food restaurant, and they take you after you're done with dinner. They took us in the elevator up to the second floor, and there was a cognac lounge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had all other stuff there, but primarily this bar was cognac. So like from floor to ceiling in a large portion of the place was all these different bottles of cognac. I mean, they must have had over 100 different types of cognac, and it was a cigar lounge. So after we had this nice meal, we took the elevator up. We had cognac and cigars. It felt very like vintage, almost like I should be wearing like a 1930s or something kind of suit with a hat or something.
Yeah.
Kind of fancy, right? It was cool in that respect.
So Park MGM is where Monte Carlo was.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I think it was.
Yeah.
You're right. An MGM casino now, and I don't think that restaurant or cognac lounge is there anymore.
Good question. I've never even been in there.
Yeah, which is a shame because, like I said, it was a cool experience. Speaking of complete opposite, and Larry and I didn't get to drink this on Wednesday, but that Sprite bottle over there is not Sprite. It's actually Vietnamese moonshine.
Ooh.
Oh, I keep looking up, and I it's Joe, but it says Larry.
It does, yeah, because he's in Larry's seat for the show, and I didn't change his name on the Riverside. Hold on, let me get some shot glasses, Joe. I think we should try some Vietnamese moonshine. What do you say?
Hey.
Right.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Sure. Yeah, it says Larry. That's cool. I like it.
You're better looking, Larry.
Oh, that was Paul's cue for me to hand it to him. I'm sorry. Hold on.
One of these is a vintage shot glass. It's a hack naked shot glass.
The original silhouette. Oh,
The original silhouette. on it, right?
I still remember that one conference you I won't say got in trouble, but there were questions about the naked body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then they changed it to a chubby guy. And when I was
Yeah.
at conferences, people were asking if it was me. And I'm like, no.
You should have said yes.
It's not
You should have
me.
said yes.
Totally should have said yes.
It's like, no, Paul does not take a picture of me lying in provocative positions. We're
This is
good.
the Vietnamese moonshine that Larry got in a Sprite bottle.
Can I
apparently.
sip for taste and then shoot, or what are you doing?
I don't know if
I
I'm
just
gonna
want to
shoot
taste
it. I'm not
it.
going to shoot it. I'm
Okay,
just gonna,
good.
yeah,
Okay, if we're sipping, I just
try and
whenever
sip it.
I get
just
something.
I did shot glasses just so we could have a small amount.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
all right. I just didn't know because I was saying like I like to taste.
No, we don't
of
need to,
something.
we
I
don't need
haven't.
to shoot it.
Well, cheers.
Cheers. Wow. That's interesting. That's got like a fruity, doesn't it though?
Yeah.
There's like a fruity undertone with that. I mean, it's definitely moonshine.
Yep.
It has that kind of jet fuel.
Yeah. But it's not harsh.
Jet fuel aura. No, it's
Yeah.
not harsh. But it has like a fruity, almost. Did it pick up some of the Sprite, or am I just my brain playing tricks on me? It's almost like lemon lime.
It tastes a little bit. There's some lemon. There's
Maybe
some
that's
lime
why they
going
put it
on.
in the Sprite.
Can you light it on fire?
Probably. I don't know if I want to experiment with fire live on the air in the studio.
Oh, come on. Let's. Because if it burns, it's above 50%.
Then it's got a little bite to it, but
got
it's
some
not.
kick to it.
It's not
It's
like
not.
where you
Okay.
have to like exhale and like it's not that strong.
It's actually really good.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So there you go.
So Joe, what's your budget monthly? You think for cigars? If you had to make a budget, what do you think you spend monthly?
Yeah, probably anywhere from 500 to 600. Not really, not really much. I kind of I don't buy boxes. I just kind of just go. Just kind of go. We usually get stuff either shipped here or every time it's like Paul as well. Like if we walk into a cigar lounge, there are multiple owners saying, "Here, try this, try that." So and see what you think.
we have to update our address
I
to
moonlight-
get samples because I do smoke the samples, and I'm not even sure where they get shipped now. I gotta redo that with a bunch of different manufacturers, and then I buy stuff like I'll visit Mr. J's and I'll buy some in a next door before the show, and I'll buy some. And then usually my bulk buying is either I'll ask I guess because I've reached a point where I know what I like, so I'll ask the local shop hey, the next time you place an order with this manufacturer, can you just order me a box of this, and then when it comes in I'll pay for the box and it'll be done. And they love that because they're it's great. It's not inventory sitting on my shelf. I don't have to sell onesie twosies over a period of months or years to get rid of the box. Box is coming in and it's going out. So I've done that mostly with Padron. I like the Padron 1926 40th Maduro and the Padron Pyramid 1964 Pyramid in the Maduro. And those are 2 boxes that are like probably $500 retail, right? Give or take. And so every once in a while when I'm like, I want to stock up, I'm like, if I'm going to spend the money on a box and on a cigar, I'm like, I'm just going with what I like. And so I'm like, just order it for me. And that's the end of it. And then I do like small batch. If I'm going to place an order online, Jim, I know that's, the owner's there or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll place an order with small batch. And usually it's like whatever's on sale or on clearance from small batch is where I stock up. And that tends to be my like everyday smoking cigars. I order a lot of HVC from small batch. And a lot of times I find it on closeout. And that's my normal everyday smoking cigar is the HVC Cerro Toro. Cerro Toro. It's a red and white and silver band.
You'll never
Super
guess where I'm
delicious.
going tomorrow.
Are you going to small batch tomorrow?
Uh-huh.
Oh, tell them I said hi. Like their favorite online customer.
Which reminds me, I'll send you some pictures. You tell me if you want any stuff there. And I've been...
Yeah, finish off my moonshine.
This is yours, and this is yours.
Oh, it's awesome, dude. So Jim's holding up badges from VetCon and from DEF CON. In cybersecurity, we like to make these electronic badges.
Yes.
I've been doing, keeping going down that hardware hacking route. Like I said, I was messing with the ESP32 platform a bunch this week, which is fun.
One of the projects I want to figure out if it's possible to do and what benefit is there to do it is to take like 50 to 100 flipper zeros and link them all together.
Interesting.
And then to create a tool to manage all of them, right? And then run Marauder on all of them.
Yeah. So now we're not talking about cigars at all. But
Yeah, sorry.
but that's okay. The project that I'm researching right now is very similar. So people have taken these M5 stack devices, which are based on the ESP32 chip, and they make one called a card pewter. So it's a little ESP32, and they put a little mini screen, and it has a keyboard. And you set that one up as the primary. And then you can kind of pick and choose which smaller device that you get. So one of the devices they support is an ESP32-C3, which is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And you can get them for around $5-6 a piece. If you order from AliExpress, you can get a bunch with an antenna attached to it. And those will act as the secondary. And so you can put firmware on the smaller devices that will collect data from the Wi-Fi channel. So if you get 11 of them or 14 of them or however many channels there are on the 802, I think 14 includes Europe. I think some of those other channels are specific to a country. In the U.S., I believe regular 802.11, 2.4 gigahertz are channels 1 through 11. So if you got 11 of those mini secondary ones, you would program it so that they each listen on a specific channel, and you have a Wi-Fi sniffing rig for not a lot of money. I mean, there's a lot of ways to skin this cat, but that seemed to me like a really cheap, inexpensive way to get Wi-Fi sniffing and then do war driving, right, where you can collect SSIDs on it. And they've also got firmware on the secondary devices that does the handshake, the WPA handshake sniffing. And so if you do that on all the different channels, you increase your chances that you'll be able to actually sniff the handshake. So that's the pro on the projects I'm working on. It all started when I got a Flipper Zero, and then I started really getting into hardware hacking. And they actually make these M5 stack firmware to try and emulate as much of the Flipper Zero stuff as possible. The other thing that I'm thinking of to relate it back to cigars, have you guys seen the moisture meters for your cigar?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen a couple of cigar reviews out there where, they list what cigar it is, the size, the tobacco, and then they also list the hygrometer moisture reading if in the cigar when they smoked it. I was like, I don't know what kind of science there is behind that in terms of like, I mean, a lot of it I think is preference, but I'm wondering if we could make one of those moisture meters out of these small little computers that we hack around with. We probably
The
could.
flipper?
You could probably make an attachment for the flipper that would
But
do
that'd be
it.
too expensive. I mean, the flipper's $200. It's kind of
right.
overkill, right? But
I mean, it'd be cool to have a module for your flipper that you could plug in and do it, but you would only need one of these little small ESP32 computers for $6. And then, if you spend like a little more money from M5, you get like a nice little case on it. Some have screens and what's called a Grove connector. So it's a 4-pin connector, and they make a whole bunch of modules, and they make them for like projects in like scientific applications, so people can create their own, robots or all these like different projects that have nothing to do with cybersecurity, but there's a whole bunch of like hardware hacking projects. And I believe I've seen on M5's site that they have a module that does maybe something that does like a hygrometer. I'd have to look again. But they've got a lot of different add-ons for doing different things.
I'm just Googling around here, and I see this 20-inch moisture probe.
Right? Well, they make them for plants, too. I used to have one for my plants. And I don't know if did it give a reading?
Yeah.
Or it's just a red or a green? Like, some of them are very basic. Like, it's just a binary, like, do you need to add water? Do you not need to add water? And it's kind of pre-programmed to read moisture. And if it's above or below a certain amount, then it would give you an indication. Some of them actually have an LED screen on it that would give you a moisture reading and tell you if you need to water your plant or not. I'm assuming it's very similar technology, if not the same technology, that you're using to gauge the humidification level of your cigar.
Yeah, I don't think the one I just sent you in Signal is meant per cigar. I think it's 20 inches.
Yeah.
This thing is huge.
Portable tobacco moisture meter. Yeah, this looks like it's for like...
If it was attached to a plant.
Yeah.
But there's actually a little electronic device at the end with a screen that gives you accurate readings.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to get some of these devices now and we have to test them.
I think so.
Because I do the very unscientific method. If it looks like it has mold on it or it's too squishy, there's too much moisture. If I squeeze it and it sounds like it's crackling, like snap, crackle, pop, then it's not enough moisture, right? So it should be somewhere in between. It should have a little bit of squishiness to it, but not so much that it's moldy or like too squishy. And when you squeeze it, it shouldn't feel like it's cracking when you squeeze it. That's my very unscientific way of telling. Someone told me a story once about the Fuente family, and they would have the grandfather who would maintain the humidor where they were like, aging all of their tobacco in, and they would hang a leaf or a couple of leaves of tobacco in the room. And the way that that he was able to gauge whether or not there was the right humidity level in this gigantic room is he would go up and feel and squeeze the tobacco leaves and go, it's either too dry or too moist in here. And that was literally there was a person with some tobacco that was the hygrometer. That's how I do it in my own cigars, but I couldn't pretend to do it for an entire room, based on that. But all those years of experience, right? I do like the science and technology aspect of measuring it. I don't know, like it'd be interesting to do experiments, right? This is kind of where like the science tech nerdiness comes in. Like this is an experiment. Like we need a control, we need a methodology, we need hypotheses, we need to test those hypotheses. Like if we smoke the same cigar that comes out of the same humidor and we measure the moisture on it, it should have some level of consistency, ideally. And then we have to smoke cigars. Maybe we intentionally let some dry out. Maybe we intentionally put Bovita packs in a small humidor and raise the humidity and smoke the same cigar at different moisture levels and see if it changes. Someone has had to have done this. Maybe not. I don't know.
This leads me to thinking about my ongoing discussion with a few of my friends about, is it mold or is it bloom? Or is bloom equal to mold?
There are some folks that are in the camp of there's no such thing as plume or bloom. There's no
Bloom.
such thing.
Right.
There's other side of the fence is anytime there's any kind of artifact on the cigar that could look like plume, that means the super agent is plume, right? And this may be a controversial view. I've asked several folks about this that have grew up around tobacco and that's been their career, right? That it's my opinion based on research on the internet, which take that for what it's worth, but also asking people who are experts in the field. I've come to the conclusion it's very rare to have plume. I think that the oils on your cigar as it's aged will crystallize, and it's very, very super rare that you would have that, and super hard to like even tell. The crystals are very, very, very small, and usually you can't have it in cellophane if it's going to develop that plume. Usually it has to be outside of cellophane. And aging a cigar long enough such that the oils have crystallized outside of cellophane means you've got to really super be on top of your game managing temperature and humidity in that humidor. I think my humidors probably fluctuate too much for like perfect aging conditions.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I'm in your camp. It's in the mold. You're leaning towards the.
It's usually
in the-
mold.
in the
usually mold.
However, let's talk about getting rid of it, right? You open up a bottle of red wine, okay? Put a little bit of red wine on your finger, right? And then you just go across the cigar like that. Mold or plume comes off the same, and you get the rest of the bottle of the red wine.
There you go.
Number
You
two.
let that dry. You let that dry out.
Yeah,
before
yeah,
you put it
yeah.
back
You
in
let
the
you
humidor.
let it dry out before you put it back in the humidor.
Yeah.
But that's how you get rid of it. However, if it's a natural thing, to me, in my eyes, and I don't have eagle eyes, but I don't wear contacts, and I have good vision, right? The oils tend to almost bubble up at the end, where you could almost, if you had tweezers, you could pick them off carefully, right? Or you could wipe them off. And the mold is a fuzzy ball.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, but if you bought a cigar and 6 months later you think it's pluming, it's mold.
Yeah. I just
With me,
asked
like-
I just asked ChatGPT, how do I tell if it's bloom
yeah.
or mold? And it says bloom or plume is very rare to see, especially on newer cigars or cigars that haven't been aged at all. So if you have anything on the cigar and you just bought it, or it's within 4 years of being bought, it's mold.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
There's also a concept of mineral deposits that I think not many people talk about, and that's like if you use just regular tap water on something, like let's say you just put some tap water in a glass and then you let it evaporate. It's almost this like white kind of powdery substance that's left in there, and those are the minerals that are in the water. And so what happens sometimes is cigars get exposed to non-filtered water at some point, and as that evaporates, it can leave mineral deposits on your cigar. So sometimes people will mistake that for either mold or plume. So, I mean, it's hard. Without actually testing this in a lab, we're just going on our visual, like whatever our human senses can detect. So we're going to look at it, we're going to smell it, right? We're going to taste it. And so a lot of times if you say, oh, there's plume on my cigar, if you give that a quick sniff test and it smells like a damp basement, it's not plume, right? It's mold because there's a smell to it as well as a feel, right? I can tell if a cigar's got too much moisture in it by the how squishy it is. Typically, that happens at the end. Like you squeeze the foot of the cigar, and if it's really squishy, that tends to be like where you'll notice it the most.
I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos the past 4 or 5 months on rolling cigars.
Yeah.
And looking at the roller's desk as they're rolling, and they have that little dish that has water in it, right?
Correct.
They're dipping their fingers in it to seal it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how clean is the worker's hand? How clean is
Correct.
that water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd the water come from? Is it heavy water, right?
It should be distilled water, but who knows?
it's probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, and that's where I think you might get some mineral deposits.
Right.
The wine trick is the way to go, though.
Why does it have to be wine?
I don't know, because that's what Manuel and Noah told me to
That's
use.
what Manuel and Noah told us on Stogie Geeks.
Yeah, he's the master blender for Laura.
He's
yeah.
yeah, and I was
Damn
like,
it.
oh, great, I love red wine. So
I
now-
have some LFD chisels that were in like that gift set. You know, it was like 5 cigars, I think, in a box. And I left the cigar box closed in my humidor for probably 8 or 9 years. And then I opened it the other day, and there was mold on the cigars.
Oh, shit.
I believe they're salvageable. I did the wine trick, wiped them off, let them dry out, put them back in the humidor. So I gotta go check on them again, and then probably I'll bring them here on the show and we'll smoke them. So
How many humidors do you have?
I have technically 3, 2 that I maintain. So I have 2 cabinets at home.
How big are they?
The one in here is pretty massive. It's like
6 feet by 4.
4 feet. Yeah. It's,
Oh,
it's
wow.
big. Yeah, this one's
Yeah.
the one in the studio is massive.
Wow.
And the one in the studio, I just put my travel cases in it with Bovita packs, and that's what all I'm storing in there. Because I think we talked about this on a previous show. It's probably at least $10,000 to start filling that humidor up. And I have 2 humidor cabinets at home, not as big as this one, but one's about half the size of the one here, and then I have another one from a company that went out of business that was in Texas. What were they called? There used to be a company in Texas that made the humidors, and they went out of business.
I
think
3.
a lot of those companies, like they got started in the cigar boom in the 80s when a lot of like investment people were just people started buying huge amounts of cigars, and it got popular in the 90s, and so they made these like fabulous humidors, and they made them for a while, and then I think technology and DIY and the internet took over as to now you can store cigars. I was using a cooler with some Spanish cedar, and people find old furniture and put Spanish cedar. That's what Jason Albuquerque did. He found I think it was a family heirloom, and lined it with Spanish cedar and made a humidor out of it. And then the refrigerator, the refrigerators or whatever they're called, with the thermoelectric, so it doesn't suck all the moisture out. And so people can either DIY or you can just order those online now. And a lot of those I think are manufactured in China.
I
keeps
have
costs
3
down.
of those.
Yeah.
And when I was at DEF CON, my wife texts me and says, hey, your machine is making this clunky noise. I'm like, what machine? And how does a machine make a clunky noise, right? So she takes the phone over to the cigar refrigerator, and I guess the compressor went out, right?
Yeah, and that's what happens with the because again they're like made in China.
Right.
Yep.
And that one I only had maybe 2 months.
Oh, that
Maybe?
stinks.
Yeah. I just had her open up a whole bunch of packs and throw them in there until I got home. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. I was just about to say we need to start wrapping up the show, and then it looks like you lost your connection.
It says your camera got disconnected by the host.
That's weird.
That's awesome.
We got hopefully enough of your recording. Oh, we'll deal with it. Oh, and there goes Jim. Oh, and he's back. That's super weird.
Yeah, that was a weird glitch.
Well, we'll deal with the glitch. But I want to thank everyone
There
for
he is.
listening. There he's Jim's back.
Hold on.
Hopefully enough to preserve the recording. I want to thank everyone for listening and watching to this edition of the Stogie Geek Show. Thanks to Joe and Jim for joining me this week. We'll see everyone next time. Over and out.
That was weird.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, Jim.
Yeah. You cut me off.
I did. Yeah, it says you're almost uploaded.
Yeah.
81%.
Well,
says
go
80%.
back and see if you just have the beginning stuff. It
Yeah,
said
just,
everything
yeah.
has been saved up until that point, and he was only like 30 or 45 seconds before.
Thankfully, it was like right at the end of the show.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It still says you're uploading though, so just keep your tab open.
It says 100% uploading.
See, on my end it says 89%. 90%. Isn't that weird?
Well, can you go back and check it? Make sure you have it.
Well, I think once it completes here, if it doesn't complete, it'll tell me.
Yeah.
And then there's a link.